Alright, here I am again. My name is Jessica Scott, and I translated the Voynich Manuscript, June 2024. Yes, I've been sitting on this for quite a while, and I wanted to make sure that I had the majority of the information to present in an academic paper. And if you feel like reading it, you can read about it on academia.edu. It's called The Translation of the Voynich Manuscript, the Compendium. I also have at least 3 or 4 other papers on there. But I kind of wanted to give you the gist of what it's about. Drum roll, anybody? I don't have a drum set, but whatever. Alright, so the Voynich, and I'm going to call it Voynich because that's what I've been calling it for the past year or so. The Voynich Manuscript, MS-408, which is held in Voynich Rare Books and Manuscripts Library at Yale, is written around 1423. Sorry for the helicopter going overhead. So, God, there's so much information. What's caused so many problems with it being deciphered? People were looking in the wrong direction. They didn't ask themselves the correct questions. Okay? If you are trying to decipher something and you have a very limited amount of word choice and abbreviations, you have to use words and phrases, even suffixes or prefixes that would typically not be used in that context to mean about what you're trying to say. And that was often what was happening. For example, the abbreviation, Latin abbreviation, which, by the way, this is all Latin with like one German word. And that one German word is Samen, which is the German version of Samen, Latin for seeds, or seed, depending on the previous article before that word. So, 9TT9 is one of the abbreviations that occurs frequently in it, right? And 9TT9, according to the Abbreviatorium Lexicon by Capelli, okay, means contritus, which was a pharmacological term to mean to crush or to pulverize. And that always was in reference to plant material, herbalism, right? And in the early 1400s, medieval medicine was humorism in Europe. The 4 humors: blood, or sanguis, phlegma, melancholia, and cholera. Okay, so you got yellow bile, black bile, blood, and phlegm. And when these were out of balance, that's when a person was sick. But of course, right, the zodiac constellations, zodiac signs, and the ecliptic constellations and stars in general influenced what humor a person had, what their personality and disposition was like. And so their herbal remedy would be specifically chosen according to their birth date and according to whatever they're going through. And that's what this manuscript is about. Sorry, those are my cats who like to follow me everywhere. So I wanted to rush on here and talk about it for the first time on the vernal equinox. So I'm super excited about that. It was kind of serendipitous that I did that in the back of my mind. I was like, wait a minute, it is the spring equinox. But so I had a developing theory called the visual shift context theory. After I realized there's repetition and like this context doesn't make sense. It's talking about stars here and other times it's talking about plants there. Obviously you can't crush the stars, right? So I realized that the same abbreviations shifted their meaning depending on whether it was discussing stars or discussing plants. So contritus became constructus, which also means to construct or be made of something. That's a small snippet. But throughout the manuscript, the author often referred to the humors as liquid or water. which in medieval times, that's what the humors were referenced as, the four liquids. So often he would say oleae aquas in the manuscript, just to name a few things. There's so much. But the interesting part is that all of these plants are from the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Somaliland, some from Persia, and the majority are from the Far East, from India, the Himalayas, and southern China, and even some of the outlying islands, like the Banda Islands. There's even cannabis mentioned. But some of these seem like a little more mundane, like, for example, arugula. Salad, that's in there. Anyway, so... Oh, and the pottery that you see in there, the intricate pottery, there's two types. There is the Tibetan Buddhist, what they call bumpas. They are ceremonial ritual water vessels, which of course ties in with water and the humors being liquids. And what else? Oh, the more simplistic tube-like apothecary jars are actually kavda pottery from Gujarat, India. It's the oldest form of pottery in the nation. In fact, it actually goes all the way back to the Harappan civilization. So that's kind of tells you how old this is. So he would have come in contact with this. And I say he because I have a feeling it is a specific Franciscan monk from Koningsfeld Abbey in Windisch, Argot, Canton, Switzerland. And the reason why I say that is because Koningsfeld Abbey is directly associated with the Habsburgs. And the abbey wasn't dissolved until 1528. And Clemens Specker, the author of the Chronicles of the 95 Rulers, his drawings are very, very similar. He is Swiss-German. He has direct ties to the Habsburgs because the abbey was built at order of Queen Elizabeth for her deceased husband. Okay. And the interesting thing about that is Rudolph II supposedly had the Voynich manuscript in his possession. And he was born in 1528. And that was when the abbey was dissolved by the Bern administration. So it's highly likely that since everything was dissolved, the Habsburgs dispersed all of the materials and books and things like that. Now, another thing I would like to note is that Clemens Specker was a sacristan of the abbey. And that was kind of like a very auspicious role in that they had to take care of all of the special manuscripts, books, and documents. And generally, this was when they were in their old age because they had the experience, they had the wisdom and the knowledge. Now, another interesting thing is that Clemens Specker only wrote one known manuscript. That's it. It was in 1478, 78, 74, in the 70s, late 70s. Pretty sure it's 78, because he was, yes. Anyway, doesn't matter. So that's kind of unheard of. You only write one manuscript. That's strange. So I started delving into that, and the time frame does match up. So it makes sense. He was gone in 1423. And why do I know it's 1423? That's because one of the bamboo species identified in the manuscript is a very specific one that only flowers every 48 years. So in 1423, that is when he was in Dali, Yunnan, China. Alright guys, would love to see your thoughts and questions. Thank you. Bye.